everyone. Welcome back to the Talent Table with Elena and Christy. Today, we're going to talk about LinkedIn, but not in the way that you think. We're going to talk about the headlines that LinkedIn made about burnout. LinkedIn gave their employees a whole week off. For the majority of their employees got time away. That means no projects, no emails, no crazy catch up when you get back in the office. They did have a core team that stayed in, but for the majority, 2/3 of their employees got a whole week off. This is on the heels of a trend that we're seeing based on pandemic burnout. Google gave their employees a collective being day, and then Facebook gave their team a whole week off for Thanksgiving. So we're seeing a trend here. Even some employers like my own have given us a whole week of life leave that we can take as a result of just the way we work and the differences that are happening in the workplace and our work culture due to the pandemic. So I want to talk about it. Does this beg a bigger question about our total rewards, the way that we work, and just want to get your insight as well, Christy. So welcome to the conversation. Hey, Christy, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you. I'm really interested to talk about this topic today because I think it's really top of mind, especially as a lot of organizations are trying to figure out what they're going to do for their return to office plan too, because I think this plays into that and what the future of the workforce kind of looks like and how that operating model will be for others too. So I think it's important to think about the pandemic in a way that's been like a shift for us, and then trying to identify that burnout in your employees and how you know when it's time to like engage them and help encourage them to take some time off. So I know you do a pretty good job when it's time to take time off and setting boundaries and how you're going to kind of start and stop your day, and rules of engagement, maybe with emails after hours. But not everybody's really good at that, right? I feel like sometimes I have that feeling that everyone's watching me and what I'm doing, or not watching me in that respect. But if you send me an email, I feel like there's an expectation to respond. How did you get to that place where you're able to set those boundaries?
So setting boundaries for burnout. So I will be completely transparent, as I try to be as much so on the talent table. I have been on the ugly side of burnout, right? I've been on the ugly side where I worked in a particular work culture where I felt like, or the team felt like that everything was a priority. So I have been in the hospital for high blood pressure, exhaustion, all those different types of things. That is really kind of the ugly side of burnout. So I've really learned early on in my career that I'm not willing to compromise my health for an organization. You will get my absolute best when I'm in the office. I do go above and beyond at times as it calls for. But as far as my peace of mind, my self-care, and my family, those are things that I'm not sacrificing anymore. So when you talk about boundaries, it's all about communication. So when I'm out the office, I'm out the office, as you know, Christy. So when I put that out of office on, I make sure I plan ahead for my time off. So if there are big projects or there are important engagements, I try to work around that if I can. Sometimes if I absolutely have to, I'll take my computer or phone for one meeting or one very important engagement or something of that nature. But ultimately, I'm out of office. And I also, on the weekends, or if I'm off certain days during the week, I'm not on my work phone. I don't answer my emails, but there's a communication that prompts that, so people know what the expectation is, and I make sure that my affairs are in order prior to leaving, and that things can be handled accordingly once I return. So you have to set those boundaries and protect your peace, right? Because you have to have peace at home, peace at health, in order for you to function the best. So do you struggle with those boundaries, you said?
Yeah, I do. And I think we talked about this a little bit before we started filming. The fact that they had most of their employees take the week off was really key, I think, in helping them achieve the goal that they set out to achieve, and helping their employees kind of come back and be refreshed and ready to go forward. So I think that was really key, because otherwise people are still going to be checking their email, checking their computer, feeling like they have to respond to certain things. So that was important, and something that I need to work on personally. But it's nice to be on a team with someone like you that's able to kind of demonstrate how to effectively implement those boundaries. One thing I was thinking about as far as this, the burnout and the pandemic, is how this will help us as employers looking forward to kind of the future of the workforce and what the operating model will look like. Because a lot of places have talked about remote only work or coming back to the office as if nothing ever happened. But it sounds like a majority of employers are going with that hybrid model. And so I think that's really interesting. But as I think about that, I think it would be interesting to have more of a ability to say like what days you might want to come into the office, because again, just empowering your employees to have that ability to set their schedule and implement balance in their life, however that looks, because it's not the same for everyone, to me is really key. What are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, so my thoughts around that, Christy, is that burnout is not new. I know there's this heightened sense around pandemic burnout, but as I told you, I've been on the dark side of burnout, and that was years before a pandemic. So I think the pandemic has giving leadership and people of influence and empower more of a lens of uh, more of what maybe the employees are going through, because we're going through it collectively. But burnout's not new, but I'm glad that now in this particular climate and environment that people of influence are being challenged to take a look at how we're impacted, how their employees are impacted beyond the desk. So as far as a hybrid work environment, I'm all for it. I'm for what is in favor of the employee producing and doing the best work. And if that is 100% remote because you have small children, or you're taking care of someone that's sick, or you have anxiety around people, or you're dealing with other types of challenges or obstacles that you may not need to share with your employer, but you're able to do your job effectively, I think you should be empowered to work 100% remotely if it doesn't impact your job. The hybrid piece, I think, is wonderful. It gives people the opportunity to go in and collaborate, but you're able, like you said, to have that empowerment of, hey, I can take care of my life, but I can also be awesome and take care of my job. And then folks that want to be in the office 100%. I've spoken with people throughout the pandemic that is not only work, is not only for work and paying their bills, it's also their connection with people. Some people, have moved to different parts around the country, and the only social connection interaction they have is being in the office. So I think having that flexibility, whether it's hybrid, in office, or remote, as long as you're able to do your job and as long as you're able to compete and keep that competitive advantage, then I think that we should be able to do it. And I think that people of influence should take that into consideration.
Yeah, I think that's important too. And it kind of brings about this whole empowering the employees and bringing that whole being wellness into the workplace. So the different total rewards benefits that an employer offers, that might change too, as we see more focus on individuals versus like the collective group, and everybody has to do the same thing. Maybe that's not really key. Maybe it's more having more personalized approach to managing employees and offering different benefits that would help them address some deficiencies or weaknesses in their personal situation. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Like our employer. I mean, first thing, we didn't make headlines for it, but I mean, we were doing things prior to LinkedIn, prior to Google, giving our employees life leave. We just here's a week. We know you have to take care of your family. We know some things are going to come up. Here is a week that has nothing to do with your regular paid time off, so you can take care of you and yours. So I think you're right, to be aware of the fact that your employees are people too, and we have lives, and we want to be the best that we can be when we show up to work. I think everything that's happened with the pandemic, the culture, the dynamics, is really challenging organizations to think more broadly, think more intuitively about who your people are and how they can show up as their best self. And that's definitely going to impact those total rewards that people are offering, to be more aligned with just be more aligned with who your employees are and what they need. So yes, to answer your question, I think we're going to see a huge change in influence. They may not all make headlines like LinkedIn, but I think now that leadership is listening more closely to some of those offerings. And people are
Yeah.
asking for it. We're recruiting professionals. So have you noticed people are now demanding
Oh yeah.
awards? Right. So
And it's definitely changed the landscape too. Yeah.
so you've had employees, right? Or you've had some people I know in some of your jobs are like demanding remote or demanding certain things. So um,
hmm
I think the workforce is going to change and demand, and what they demand is going to change how we react.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that being in the recruiting space, we're kind of the front lines. We are the ones that are seeing that and then have the responsibility of trying to influence the hiring managers, the business areas to understand this is what the market's demanding right now. And it seems like that has changed rapidly. So helping our business areas, our HR teams, the workforce management groups understand, okay, this is what it looks like out there. We need to make changes now and fast. And I think we've seen, at least in our organization, we are making changes much more quickly than we have in the past, which is a positive. And there's probably still more changes to make to go forward. But you're right, the landscape has changed in the marketplace for candidates and what they expect from employers, which has really also been a positive for companies because now the talent pools are a little bit more broad because of the ability to maybe work remotely or have that hybrid model going forward. So it's a positive. It's just got to pick and choose which way you look at it, right? And then make sure that you're set up to deal with some of the other aspects of the pandemic, like the burnout piece. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I mean, any more thoughts on burnout, Christy, or any more thoughts on kind of LinkedIn giving everyone day 1 week off? I think that's amazing. I want to give a shout out to Wheela Hansen, Chief People Officer at LinkedIn. Awesome, much appreciated, and I hope that you continue to pave the way in some of those unique offerings that you're giving employees, and hope that other leaders follow suit and do some of those creative things to make their employees or help their employees feel more empowered and more energized to show up as their best self. But turn it over to you, Christy.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that was great that they were able to do that for their employees. And if you're an employer that might be considering something like that, I would say survey your employees, ask them, find out what they need and what they want and what they're feeling right now. I think that's the best way to really figure out what's best for your organization in order to retain that talent and invest in your employees. So that's kind of the thoughts that I have around this topic. It was a great topic to bring to the table, Elena, and look forward to coming back next week with a special guest. So stay tuned and have a great day. Thanks.
Bye.